Hello, I'm Dan Rather, and welcome to the CBS Evening News online edition. Tonight, Mean Gene, a look at the long aftermath of the latest hurricane to hit Florida. Also, tremors around Mount St. Helens. Is the volcano coming back to life? And call it a kind of pacemaker for the brain, an experimental new treatment for epilepsy. It's all starting now on the CBS Evening News online edition. 4 hurricanes and counting more heavy losses, and not just in Florida. What was Hurricane Gene has left at least 6 people dead in the Sunshine State, along with massive new destruction and power blackouts for millions. Now a tropical depression, Gene is still a big floodmaker and tornado factory, on a path now taking it from Georgia through the Carolinas to Virginia and then up north off the Atlantic coast. CBS's Lee Cowan has the view from the ground tonight of the Mean Gene machine.
The last member of Florida's fearsome foursome is threatening states to the north tonight. Georgia and the Carolinas are under the threat of more tornadoes and are all getting a soaking that gives a new meaning to tropical depression. Gene's jaunt to the north comes after a landfall that is one for the record books, hitting the same stretch of beach Hurricane Frances did 3 weeks ago to the day.
This is the way it is in paradise sometimes. So I'm packing up and I'm moving out.
Thousands who had just had power restored have lost it again, and lines for water and ice are back by unpopular demand. Not since 1886 have 4 hurricanes hit one single state, and Florida is suffering on almost every level. The state's citrus belt, which produces 40% of the world's grapefruit, is in shambles.
I would say 100% of this year's crop is lost, and we're looking at 50% tree loss.
Florida's fishing industry didn't fare much better.
We just stuck, can't go fishing, can't make any money, just stuck at the dock.
The largest beef crop in the southeast is struggling to keep its head above water. And dairy farmers have it even worse.
With the electricity knocked out to the processing plants and very few milk delivery trucks allowed out on the road, most dairy farmers simply had no choice but to dump their milk. In this particular case, that meant some 300,000 gallons of milk in one day poured right down the drain.
We have insurance on our buildings, but we don't have insurance on lost production.
We have no rooms available.
If there is one bright spot, it was tourism. Hotels were booked even though most of the residents were evacuees with a discount. And theme parks lost only a few days. Weary Floridians needed a diversion from a hurricane season that has taken the state for one wild ride. Lee Cowan, CBS News, Fort Pierce, Florida.
Volcano experts report the most serious new rumblings from Mount St. Helens since its deadly eruption in 1980. As CBS's Sandra Hughes reports tonight, the volcano in southwestern Washington state is showing signs of new activity.
The ground is shaking under Mount St. Helens, and today scientists landed on the rim of the crater to find out how much. It was 24 years ago Mount St. Helens exploded with such force that searing ash blanketed cities for dozens of miles, killing 57 people. Nervous scientists fear the slumbering giant that hasn't had any kind of eruption in 18 years may have awakened.
This could change rapidly over the next day or two, or conceivably go on for weeks.
The series of intensifying earthquakes will likely cause an eruption, though not on the scale of the 1980 disaster. Hikers in the area were surprised by the news.
Oh my God, we just went through this twice.
Mount St. Helens isn't the only restless volcano. In Alaska, Mount Spur is getting so hot an ice cauldron has formed in the summit. And in Hawaii, both Mauna Loa and Kilauea have become more active. In California, Mammoth Mountain, a popular ski town built directly on top of an underground cauldron, has shown signs of life with killer gases that scorch these trees. All of these volcanoes are located on the so-called Ring of Fire that circles from North America to Asia.
They're all related in a very general plate tectonics type of sense, but on a day-to-day basis, they don't really talk to each other.
At any given time, at least 20 volcanoes are erupting somewhere in the world. When and if Mount St. Helens becomes one of them is what's keeping scientists on edge. Sandra Hughes, CBS News, Los Angeles.
We end tonight with a medical brainstorm to treat a brainstorm. Seizures from epilepsy. More than 2 million Americans have this condition, but but some don't respond to drugs. CBS News medical correspondent Elizabeth Caledon reports on an experimental new treatment, a brain implant, on the Health Watch.
In the evenings,
as he strolls the grounds of this Pennsylvania farm,
that field is covered with deer.
Stephen Neely looks every bit the pioneer. And in fact, he is a medical pioneer on a quest to free himself from the epilepsy that has ravaged his life.
I'm tired of it. You would be tired of it too.
For 10 years, Neely has suffered seizures so frequent and violent he lost a successful business, his marriage, his independence. He needs constant supervision, so he left his sons and life in California and moved to his parents' farm.
It's a heartbreak.
So just lie back.
But not one to feel sorry for himself, Neely is fighting back. He's one of a small group of epileptics willing to try an extreme treatment to keep seizures at bay.
I'm not a person to sit back and say, well, okay, let somebody else be a guinea pig. If they have a cure for epilepsy, I'll try it.
It's a pretty good merge with the ventricle right there.
Buried deep inside Neely's brain are electrodes hooked up to a device called a deep brain stimulator, implanted as part of a clinical trial back in April. The electrodes are wired through the scalp and neck and attached to a pacemaker-like device in the chest. When turned on, the equipment sends rapid-fire electrical signals directly into the area where seizures tend to originate.
It's a constant pulsation that's being sent to the brain.
Almost like a timed release
That's
drug.
exactly right.
Dr. Michael Caplet is Stephen Neely's surgeon.
This particular approach does not attempt to predict seizures, but rather continuously send these pulses in the hopes of simply stopping the seizures in the first place.
The theory is the regular barrage of electrical current disrupts the irregular activity of the seizure. Experts believe stimulating the brain with electricity could prove a powerful weapon against a number of other disorders, including Parkinson's disease and depression.
Several months later, Stephen Neely notices a difference.
I used to have 4 a week, and I'm down to 2. So, to me, that's great.
Results of the experiment won't be ready for a few years, but doctors have high hopes, and so does Stephen Neely, that going directly into the brain is the key to making epilepsy something he can live with. Elizabeth Caledon, CBS News, New York.
More stories are just a click away. Don't forget to join me on television for the on-air edition of the CBS Evening News. On Tuesday, the presidential candidates and the possibility of a draft. Where they stand in our election series, What Does It Mean to You? For CBSNews.com, I'm Dan Rather.